Hello everyone, Berserkhead here, and welcome to this episode of Should You Buy It, in which I'm gonna be talking about the new DLC for Rome 2, which is called Caesar and Gaul. So first things first, this Should You Buy It will be in a different format, because usually what I do with these videos is I write a script, then I record my voice, then I record footage of the game, then I edit this whole thing out, and this is how I release it. But the thing is that this DLC is a little bit different. There are more things to say about it, so that's why I decided to do it in a format that involves less editing, more talking, and that is not scripted. I hope people will get why I do that, and it'll be a little bit of a longer video, but I'll still try and keep it short, give you general information about the game, and tell you at the end whether if you should buy this DLC or not. So hope you enjoy it. Let's first go to campaign. So this is the new campaign, and this is the new campaign map. So what you can see about it is that it's much smaller than the map in the grand campaign, but of course it's more detailed in this area. So you have more provinces than you have in the grand campaign, once again in this area, and of course you have more settlements. It includes roughly parts of modern Germany, France, Switzerland, Belgium, and small part of Britain. Maybe there are some countries that I missed there, but never mind. And the dominant culture is Gallic, as you might expect. All of these tribes are Gallic. There are just a few Germanic tribes in this area, and the Romans are invading here, and they're trying to expand. So these are the playable factions. First you have the Romans, then you have the Arverni, then you have the Suebi, and then you have one of the new factions that are introduced by this DLC, the Nervii, which are a Gallic Belgic tribe. So as the Romans, you'll have to, of course, expand, but it's a very challenging campaign. You can see the initial challenge is normal, but believe me, the campaign is more difficult than you can expect, because you'll try to attack factions, and there is no other faction that is Latin. And once you attack a Gallic faction, the other Gallic factions are gonna declare war on you. So very early in the campaign, you'll be at war with so many factions that it'll be just difficult to maintain enough troops and enough settlements to just continue expanding and try to win all of these wars. Then the Arverni. Again, very challenging campaign. Again, the initial challenge is normal, but the campaign is very difficult because, well, what's good about the Arverni is that they're Gallic, and once again, the dominant culture is Gallic. So you will have factions that you'll be able to rely on, because all of this area is filled with so many Gallic tribes. And once the Romans start expanding, you'll have allies, and you will not be alone in the war. But the thing is that you start very close from the positions of the Romans, as you can see here, and the Romans expand very vastly in the campaign. That's what I noticed, at least from what I've played. They expand very vastly, and you'll have to conquer some territory early on, so that you'll have to maintain enough troops to fight with the Romans. As the Suebi, so this is probably the hardest campaign. You start at kind of a distant position from the Romans, but once again they expand very quickly. And the thing is that there are no Germanic tribes that you can rely on in the beginning. You have just these two guys that are here that you can rely on. But the thing is that, once again, the same as the Romans, you'll have to declare war on some Gallic tribes, and once you declare war on Gallic tribes, the other your reputation with the other Gallic tribes just drops, which results in many wars. And it's difficult because, once again, the Romans will want your territory, and then there are gonna be all of these Gallic tribes that are at war with you. So this is what makes this campaign difficult. And then we go to the Nervii, who have the easiest campaign, because once again they're Gallic, which is the dominant culture, and their position is very distant from the Romans. So yeah, this is what I can say in general about all of these factions. You can read all of these perks. I'm not gonna go through all of them, because once again I'm gonna try to keep it brief. And then I just want to talk about the victory conditions, because they're kind of interesting. So what you can see here is that you can have only military victory. This is the only way you can achieve victory in this campaign. And the victory conditions for all factions are similar, but they're not completely the same. So they all have to maintain 28 settlements. This is general for all of these factions, and they also have to maintain 80 units in total. And they'll have to control 6 provinces, either by direct ownership or through client states and military allies. And this is what's different for the factions Now these were the Roman victory conditions. If I go to the Gallic, you'll see that these things here will be the same, but just the provinces will be slightly different. And here is the Grand Campaign. As you can see, there are two more Gallic tribes that weren't available in the Caesar and Gaul campaign. First, I'm gonna start by Galatia. And these guys, like, their campaign is very challenging, but it's very, very interesting. And I would suggest everybody to check them out because they're a very untypical Gallic faction. Most of this is because of their starting position. As you can see, they start south of the Black Sea, which is a very untypical thing since the other Gallic factions have, completely different position. And the thing is that you'll be surrounded by all of these Hellenic and Eastern factions, and there are gonna be just a few other Gallic tribes around. I think there are only two or three. One are the Cappadocians, and I think that there is one more Gallic tribe there. But you'll have cultural affinity with the Greeks, which is not bad with the Hellenic factions. But once again, also there are a lot of Eastern factions, and the campaign is very, very challenging just because you're so distant from the other Gallic tribes, and it's just very unique. Just try it out, and you'll see for yourself. Then you have the Nervii. It's pretty much the same. I talked about them previously when I went through the Caesar and Gaul campaign. It's pretty much the same, only here it's a little bit more difficult because they have all of these Germanic tribes next to them and they're not completely surrounded by other Gallic tribes. And then we have the Boii, which are pretty similar to the Arverni. They only have these different perks here. They have different starting position and a few more different units, but I don't really know what to say about their campaign. The only thing is that they're surrounded by Gallic factions, and they're, I think, a little bit closer to the Romans than the Arverni. I don't know, that might not be completely true, but it's once again pretty similar to the Arverni. That's what I can say about them. And now let's see what these factions have to offer when it comes to units. So what I can say about the Arverni in general is that they're a more cost efficient faction. So if you like more numerous army, if you like to bring more units, then the Nervii are a good choice. But if you're like me and you like more of high quality troops like the Oathsworn and the Noble Spears, then you should probably get the Arverni because they have more to offer, and because they have more units that can provide you with this. But let's see what unique units they have. They have the Guerrilla Swordsmen, they have the Fierce Swords, then they have the Naked Spears, and they have the Mighty Horse. These are all of their unique units. Once again, this is everything, like, this is just what I explained. They have some decent units. They're not as good as the Oathsworn, as you can see, but they're a lot cheaper. So if you like more numerous armies, you should probably pick the Nervii. They're a good faction when it comes to that. Then I have Galatia, which is once again a very unique Gallic faction. They have some different units than the other Gallic tribes. They have, first, my favorite unit that they have are these Galatia Noblemen. They're an extremely good spear unit. I think they're one of the best spear units in the game. And they also have the Galatian Legionnaires, which are not as good as the Oathsworn, but they're a good swordman unit nevertheless. So these are a very good faction. Once again, they're not very cost efficient, but if you like high quality troops, then this is a good faction. And they actually have one more unique unit that any of the other Gallic tribes don't have. These are the Galatian Raiders, which are horse skirmishers. I personally am not fan of horse skirmishers, but if you know how to use them, if you're good at microwing, they're not a bad unit. And then we have the Boii, which are the last Gallic faction. They're kind of similar to the Nervii, only the Nervii are kind of better at what they do. They're once again a more cost-efficient faction. As you can see, they have some very cheap bowmen, these Celtic bowmen. They have some good spears here. As you can see, veteran spears, they are not very expensive. And they also have the sword followers, which are a decent swordsman unit, but they're not as good as the Oathsworn. It's pretty much the same as the Nervii, only the Nervii have kind of a better choice of units. Although these Celtic bowmen, I can tell you, they're good unit because you can get a lot of units this way. Once again, if you're good at microwing, if you like big size units, big size armies, like very numerous armies, then they're a decent faction for that. And also there is one more new thing that was added in this DLC. As you can see, the Nervii, the Arverni, the Romans, and the Suebi have it. These are all the factions that are available in the Caesar and Gaul campaign. They have their own unique generals. So the I'm not even gonna try to pronounce their names, but as you can see, they have their own unique ones. And what's different about them is that they have slightly different abilities that you can use in battle, which is kind of useful because they're not that bad, and you should just see what they do, and you just have one extra type of general that you can use. It's not a big change, but it's kind of nice to have. And now let's take a look at the campaign map. I chose the Romans because they have the most territory explored, but I unfortunately couldn't find a mod that removed the fog of war, so you'll have to deal with that. But anyways, one of the things that's unique about this campaign is that every year lasts, I think, 12 turns and the seasons change. So as you can see right now, it's autumn, it's the early July, and the map will change visually when the seasons changes. But this has little impact on the campaign. First of all, you'll see that there are these your settlements will have different, like, there are these little perks that they'll have during the different seasons. Sometimes they'll expand faster, and as you can expect during the autumn right now, as you can see, there is +2 public order, but during the winter it will not be like that. The public order will actually go lower, will be lower than usual. And let me actually end a few turns so that you'll see how the map will change when the seasons changes. And also, there is, like, when there is winter, you have all of these, I'm not sure what they're called, but like, if your units go through them, like, there are little whirlwinds, like little storms on the map, and if the units pass through them, then they'll start to desert and you'll lose parts of your army. This is similar to the deserts in the usual grand campaign, and once again the snowy areas where you have these parts where if your units pass, they'll just, some of them will desert. It's still autumn, but now I think that if there is one more turn, if one more turn passes, then the season will change. I don't care about all this. Once again, I'm not playing serious, I just want to show you something. There are all of these factions, as you can see, they're declaring war on me, but I think one more turn and it'll be winter, I think, and you'll see how the map will change. By the way, this rain is just a visual effect. It moves around the map. It'll stop raining at some parts, it'll start raining in some others, but it has no impact on the game mechanics at all. Let's see, a year may actually last more than 12 turns. But yeah, as you can see, now it's winter, and if, as you can see, if my units go here, let me see if I can get an army. By the way, I think the optimization is once again kind of messed up because you can see the frame rate's kind of low. But yeah, if I get an army and if I try to go in some of these regions, some of my units will desert. But yeah, anyways, this was everything that I wanted to talk about, and then at the end I should answer the question, should you buy this DLC? But first, let's talk about the morality of this DLC. Is it just ethical to release it at this stage where the game is not still completely finished? So let me speculate a little bit. The information that I'm gonna tell you is by no means gonna be 100% accurate, and I'm not gonna claim it to be this way. But the thing is that the Creative Assembly are owned by SEGA. Their games are published by SEGA, and therefore they have a contract with SEGA, and they have to release all of these DLCs by their contract, and they have to release their games on a certain date because there is a contract, and Sega tells them you should release a game on this date, like, do whatever you want, but you should release a game by then. And this is why the release of Rome 2 was rushed. First of all, it was because all of the fans were so excited about this that they actually pushed the release date forward. But also, once again, they have a contract with Sega that there are conditions that they have to deal with, that they'll have to fulfill. So this is a thing, and that's why I am defending Creative Assembly to some extent, because they have to release these DLCs no matter what happens. They're still trying to work to fix the game. They're not doing a great job of that, and I can't really defend them for that because it's completely their fault. But I defend them when it comes to these DLCs because they have to release them. Anyways, this is just a speculation. Once again, I don't know if this is by contract, but it makes sense if it is. So don't be too hard on them. And now, having said that, should you buy this DLC? Well, It really depends. If you're a person that plays this game a lot, if you've played the grand campaign to an extent where you're kind of bored of it, if you've tried all the factions, then yeah, definitely buy it. This campaign is definitely interesting. It's not that rushed. Actually, the map is kind of detailed. There are all of these tribes that it's just interesting. It doesn't feel rushed in any way. It's completely full experience, and it definitely got me into this game again because I kind of stopped playing it for a while. But when this DLC came out, I played quite a few hours of campaign, especially as the Roman Strata campaign. It's really good. Plus, you have some more factions in the campaign. In the grand campaign that you can use. They're kind of interesting. Once again, try the Galatians. They're an extremely interesting faction to play as. But if you're a person that doesn't play a lot of campaign, I would say no. I mean, why would you buy this DLC? It has just a few new units, and there are just three new factions that you can use, and they're not all that unique. The Nervii are kind of worth it because if you are into cost efficient armies, then they're a good faction for that. But if you play, but yeah, just have in mind that the price of the DLC is kind of high. So if you play only multiplayer, I don't think it's that much worth it because you can buy a whole game for the same price. So yeah, just think about yourself. I gave you enough information about that. But once again, if you should buy this DLC only if you play campaign and if you play a lot of the game, because otherwise it's just not worth the price tag. Anyways, this was everything that I wanted to say about this video. Or about this DLC. I hope that this video wasn't too long. I hope you watched it to the end, and I hope that it was informative for you. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Pushing for this